Hmm.
Welcome to episode number 11 of Creatively Unworthy Podcast.
Jeff, welcome.
Like I was saying, I've got a lot of stuff I want to cover, and this really came out of what happened yesterday, because yesterday ranks up there with one of the worst days of my life, and that's including a war. So, that's like pretty bad. And of course, well, I'll just go ahead and I'll tell you the events that happened. So I had an eye appointment yesterday for glaucoma, and to go to the VA in Palo Alto. And I know driving back last time I could barely see because they put these real strong eye drops in, and I would either have to sit around for 6 hours and wait, or maybe I could find somebody. So I asked Logan, would you drive me to Palo Alto? So I asked him last week. He said, yeah, okay, no problem. So yesterday, sent him an email just reminding him that we're going to leave at 12:30 or something. And I got this email back that basically said, okay, and I could read exactly what it said, but it was, the bottom, it was like, this is the last time I'm going to sacrifice 3 hours of my day to drive you to Palo Alto when you could have made an appointment here in Santa Cruz, but I'll do it. And then I wrote back, never mind. In other words, I'll go do it myself. And I started, of course, to ramp up like, you little shit, you ungrateful piece of shit. All the things I've been doing for you, all the sacrifices that I've made, and you can't take 3 hours, And so I wrote back, he started going a list of things that he was basically accusing of, you're really mad because you did this, and you did. And I said, well, I started playing the game, of course. You're arrogant. And what I was trying to say was you're a know-it-all, but I said you're arrogant. And he said, arrogant. I'm not the one that when you go to our parties, you tell, stories about yourself. You're always talking about yourself and blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa. And it just kept ramping up and ramping up. And I basically, it ended with me going, go fuck yourself, which I'm not proud of saying that. And then, of course, I centered a little bit, and I wrote back, okay, so I tried to explain something. It doesn't matter.
Sounds anyway, to me like he told you he would pick you up, no problem, last week, and then today, all of a sudden, he has a problem with it.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it was a big sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it could have been a lot of things, he smokes dope. I mean, who knows what it could have been. But so what happened was, in my own arrogance, I drove myself. Fuck him, Well, I almost had 2 accidents, one here and then one in Palo Alto. I went through a major red light where it transitioned from the freeway onto the main road, and I almost caused about a 12-car pileup. I mean, luckily, literally, it was one of these, scooted through because I was in the red light with all the oncoming traffic. So I get there, and of course, I end up going to Menlo Park, the wrong VA, because there's 2 VAs, and I left in a hub. So, I could have still made the appointment, but I thought, man, this is dangerous. I can't, first of all, I'm mad. Second of all, I can't see that well. And I'm not going to create an accident. So I canceled the appointment and I drove back. And then I had this breakthrough about the whole thing. And because I was Kristen, I went and told the people, the apartment complex, I'm out of here. I'm leaving at the end of the month. Here's I'm putting in my 30 days. And then I went back and started hunting for places to go stay. I didn't know where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, but I am never going to ever, blah, 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 blah. So the breakthrough came as I relaxed, and there was an email that I'd sent to Kristen, and it was the other day, and it was about, I figured out how to use that ocular vision thing. And then suddenly Logan wrote on it, good for you, Dad, you did it on your own. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Okay, here's an analogy of what this is like, and then I'll get back to it. It's like one time I saw this dog, and the dog fell off of a step, and it hurt itself, and it was screaming like crazy, and the dog ran inside the building. Well, I was still left with the pain. I felt the pain for the dog. Well, the dog came out, tail wagging, completely forgot about it, didn't even realize there was anything. I'm still with the pain.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the way I experienced what happened. So I realized this. Logan never asked me to move here. Logan never asked me to help him with his truck. Look, because I was going, I'm the one I'm sacrificing. Logan never asked me any of that stuff. I self-imposed. Oh, he also said I was stalking him. That was the thing that sent me over the frickin' rails. Stalking my own son, because he goes, every time you see my car, you stalk me. I'm like, I'll show you stalking. I'll never, ever, 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 ever go to your house again.
I feel like it's pretty average for a parent to want to spend time with their kids, though.
Wouldn't you think? Stalking, Kristen, hello. It's called, I love my son. I want to be around him.
Yeah.
And whatever he's got in his brain. Well, anyway, but here's the point of this. I flipped it around. Logan never asked me to be here. Logan never asked he never said, hey, why don't you move here? That was all me. I'm the one that came up with that. I'm the one that wanted to be, his dad and try to help him and try to be there for him. He never asked me for that. He never asked me to help him with his, I keep thinking, why doesn't he ever say, wow, thank you, whatever, you're so wonderful for helping me with my income taxes. Instead, it's like, he complains about how much he's got to spend on income taxes. It's just like, I was trying to get a result of a result that wasn't that from somebody that never even, he isn't even playing in the game. This is my game, like if Chris and I play this game all the time, he doesn't want to play the game, but I force it on him. So here was the insight. God, I'm finally coming to it. So when I read that, I read his email and I started letting go I transformed myself in a second, in literally a second, that I relaxed and I went, oh my God, I realized I had a bad case of SCUTS. You know what SCUTS is?
No.
Okay.
What's it mean?
SCUTS is self-created, unrelenting tension. SCU, it's an acronym for.
I like that.
Unrelenting tension. And what it's caused from is I had no space inside of myself to hold anything. So I was getting smaller and smaller. And literally, Kristen, I was feeling trapped in sand, but I was getting smaller and smaller. I have no friends. I'm isolated. It's the only person I know is Logan. I've got to go see Logan, smaller and smaller. And what I needed was to create inner space. Mm-hmm. And so I started writing out all of these things, and I also found some of them. But one of them is all psychic problems are spiritual imbalances. And when we think of now back to, unworthiness, unworthiness is a spiritual imbalance of something that we haven't let inside of us, create enough space inside of us for that journey or that art project or the writing of a book to take place. So I started writing down a list of all of these things, and I found just, things started popping up. Like, I'll read you. This is from a book. It's called The War of Art, not the art of war, but the war of art. And this guy's really cool, but he writes, grandiose fantasies are a symptom of resistance. He says they're for amateurs. Professionals learn that success, like happiness, comes as a byproduct of the work. And when I said grandiose fantasies, I had this grandiose fantasy of, I'm going to create this wonderful life with Logan, and he'll come over to my house and bring his girlfriend, and we'll have dinners and hey, and cheer, And a couple of those things have happened, but that was a grandiose fantasy. Well, here's the grandiose fantasy. I'm going to create a book that will literally transform Cambodia's $500 million debt. I'll ride through the streets as people go, Larry, you helped the Cambodian people. My God, you're such a hero.
The hero.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So these are all part of this thing called the resistance. And resistance is what keeps us from finishing the vampire book, keeps me from finishing my screenplay, keeps Kristen from, finishing an art project or whatever it is. We hit up against something and we look outside of ourselves for the answers rather than inside by creating a place, a space, and just let things simmer. Let things, like just percolate, like a seed that's gonna, when just before a seed turns into a plant, there's tremendous pressure on this seed, and there's the energy from the sun, and there's moisture, and literally the seed explodes, and a new plant is formed. And my point of this is, the more of these things that you can see in yourself, the more you'll start to have trust that the seed is going to create the result. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And rather versus me trying to force it, which created tension, which created, it's probably Logan, every time he sees me, feels like I'm a stalker. And he really feels that way. I put myself in his skin and I started thinking, oh my God, this is what I do when I can't have what I want. And I want.
Whoa, that's huge.
Yeah,
huge,
that's a really big revelation.
That's huge.
So literally today, I'm creating space. I mean, I'm still probably going to move, okay, but not for the reasons that I was going to move. I may move, I may not, but I want a place where I can buy something. I want something that I can afford, where I can make things pencil out, which they don't.
If you move down here, me and Kristen can hang out with you.
Well, that's it. I mean, I've got a great
I bake.
All my friends are down there. Your dad is down there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to drive 8,000 miles to go see an eye doctor when, he's right there. You're next
There's
door.
some townhouses that if you were willing to get a roommate, there's some townhouses that my fiance's sister used to live in by the high school Buena, that are like, they're not cheap, but they're like pretty reasonable. They're not like super, super duper expensive.
Yeah, let's talk about it after.
Yeah.
By the beach? That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But see what I mean?
Everything in California is technically
the beach. But
yeah.
Your beach is cleaner than my beach, that's for sure.
I wanted to relate this story because it was, I could still be pissed off at Logan, and I could create a lot of drama out of that. And there's a lot of people that love the drama, and they get significance. Like, I've got friends that are still fighting the Vietnam War. They still can't believe they didn't let us kill every person in the country so we could have put a flag on the top and said, we won the goddamn war, And it's like, they can't let go of the drama. These are the Vietnam vets.
They can't evolve into that new seed, the new plant.
Yeah. There's something to say about people. Everybody always thinks like, oh yeah, of course you want to be happy, but some people, like, I don't know, like, the drama is kind of seductive. Being unhappy is kind of like, everybody pities you. Everybody's like, oh my God, that's so terrible. It's like, there's that attraction to it that makes people wallow in self-pity for.
Well, actually, some people are happy when they're in the drama.
Yeah.
Only
happy when it rains.
I was just going to say that
song? Oh my God, do you listen to Garbage?
I totally was.
I love you guys so much.
Only happy when it rains.
Only happy when it rains. Yeah, I mean, how many people do you know?
It's complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, Kristen, that's how many people do you know?
So many. Oh my God, it's exhausting.
Soap operas market that. The whole show's drama. The whole show, everybody's having a problem. It's like,
What show is this?
Soap opera? Just reality
show
channels. Yeah.
Every single one. Making It Afraid.
And we can't afford to go down that road. Not if you're going to be creative, because the whole purpose of this podcast was to come up with ideas and solutions and tools to help people, find their passion or create their
nurture their soil so they can sprout.
Yeah, nurture their soul. I mean, this is a spiritual journey too. It's not outward, and unfortunately, like I wrote this friend that had sent me an email. He's really a good guy. He's an Australian and he lives in Cambodia. And I said, living in California is like being in one of those apps that everything looks really wonderful, but people are pissed off underneath. It's not so wonderful. People are walking around and they're talking to themselves. And by the way, when people are talking to themselves, that's that unrelenting tension coming out. They think they're solving that problem. They don't even realize they're doing it. They're unconscious. That's the other part of this whole thing. I went from unconscious driving to conscious when I almost said, Kristen, I didn't even see the red light. I did see the 200 cars that were headed for me. And there wasn't one red light because I went through one. It was another. It was like, oh my God, I've turned into one of those old farts that can't drive. I'm sure, people were honking and waving and flipping birds.
So glad you were okay.
Huh?
Holy crap, I'm so glad you're okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Next
if something would happen to you, I tell you what, Logan would be kicking himself. Jesus.
Lord. Well, it would have been but think about this.
No,
I know.
How many people have done that?
It's like,
just to make him wrong. And
I'm so glad you're okay.
But next time, Larry, if you're in that position, you should Uber, even if it's like
what?
Uber.
Oh, by the way, Uber now has gone up here. You could buy a truck for what it costs. Uber now, like some guy said, it cost him to go 1 mile to his house. It was $30. He said, I can't. Yeah, no, it's great up in this area.
Oh my God.
Because there's no drivers because of the pandemic. They're on unemployment and they haven't come back. Right? So, but here's what I did. I talked to the woman down below that I
was just going to suggest that.
And she goes, oh, I would love to take you. I'll take you in a second. I help my mom. I do all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. So the other kind of thing in this is you need to find the right player for the team. Logan wasn't the person to ask to do something for somebody else. He's not, he would do it begrudgingly, do what you want to sit and, but there are people that love to help other people. I love to help people.
Yeah.
Plus, your neighbor would love to have you in the car for 3 hours to chat your ear off.
I know.
You don't have to see the chat. That'd be perfect.
Little chat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Because my dad, he's very good about completely, if something happens that's really unpleasant, he's very good at like, oh, okay, I'm done then, bye. And he'll like sever every single thing.
Oh yeah.
And just go. He'll just say, "Oh really? Okay, peace."
Here's the house. Here's the keys to the car. Go fuck yourself. I'm out the door.
Means you're also good the other way. Like good things happen. So it's not a bad thing. You're just very passionate.
Well, here's the flip. Here's the flip of this. You want to be going not towards something. We all think you're supposed to be always going towards a goal. What you should be going is away from the way you were. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going away from, not towards any. The normal reaction is I'm going to go to Cambodia. I'm out of here. I'm going to Cambodia. Boom. But in this case, it was, I want to get away from that person I was being. Now, if that means living in a townhouse on the ocean, which would be just, I'm sorry,
that sounds
terrible.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Barbecues. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. And I probably should have a roommate just because it's a lot cheaper than, I buy groceries for one, and I spend as much for myself as that as So.P and her entire family of 6 spend on 6 people.
It's expensive over here.
It's terrible.
Yeah. California's just like.
So I just wanted to share that little.
That's huge
breakthrough.
I'm very impressed.
Well, here's the other part of it, and Rebecca doesn't know this, but like me severing ties, I also didn't want. You notice I didn't call you, Kristen, or tell you about this, you know, because I don't.
Me, but it was very unclear who or what you were mad at. Like I couldn't tell what was happening.
Well, what I didn't want to do with Kristen was put her in charge of whether or not Logan pays the price. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to pass on more drama. That's not
like create animosity between the siblings or anything.
Well, actually, it's worse than that. It's create more stress on Kristen because she's not my parent. She doesn't, you know, she doesn't need to fix me. And she will. I mean, if you let her.
All the time.
If I was dying up on.
Damn it, what are they going to do now? I tell you what, they're both grounded. Damn it, I can't ground them.
If you were stuck in the Korean embassy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I am so relieved to hear that wow, that's a powerful realization. Many realizations.
Well, and it was also, I decided I went from unconscious pissed to consciousness, and being conscious, I went like, I got to get out of here and get back before it gets dark, before anybody puts eye drops in I can't do any of that because it doesn't work when I'm, you know, basically I'm getting older and I can't freaking see, you know. It's kind of like this eye is legally blind, you know.
Jeez.
But I would joke about, it'll be really cool to get a nice eye patch. It's not really cool because you lose
self-driving car would be good.
You lose your you know, and I've got that, but it's just blurry.
Do glasses help at all, or
no?
Is it just?
See, it's glaucoma. It's the destruction of the optic nerve. You can wear 6 glasses till the cows come home. It doesn't matter. I mean, I wear, you know, glasses, but it's they can't repair it. So basically, it's controlling it. The good news is my good eye is not experiencing more glaucoma. It has a tiny bit, but nothing like the other eye.
That's good.
So anyway.
Wow. Well, next time you go, you're going to go with your neighbor buddy and make sure you're nice and safe.
Yeah, or I'll be down living in.
Yeah, by all of the doctors.
Yeah.
And the beach and the train stations and all the.
Oh, yeah.
I get it. I mean, and it was also my dream to like move up there and have everyone live.
I didn't want to say, you know, I didn't want to bring you into that.
Definitely my initial dream. I was like, you got to move to Santa Cruz. That way, you know, holidays.
It'll all be perfect.
Blah, blah, blah. Everyone will be happy again. It'll be like old times.
Yeah, that's cute though. I mean, I don't feel like it's a bad dream to have because it's like, who doesn't want their family all together? But it's like exactly what you said, Larry. Like, you can't really force people to kind of come together. And the more you try it, it just kind of like.
And I think with Logan, you know, I don't want to sound egotistical, but I think he's competing with me in things, and he can't, you know. I mean, he can't compete because he hasn't done, you know, except surfing and things like that. But you can't compete like my life is already played out. So I've got a lot of stories. Excuse me, and so there's that competition. I think that competition. You know, on one hand, like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what he thinks or anything. I know what Kristen thinks because she tells me, but I have no idea what Logan and I could be making it all up. But you know, it really doesn't matter now that I'm seeing from his point of view. You know?
Well, just a different perspective is always helpful.
Yeah, I'm like 73 years old. You know what? I'm expecting him to invite me on all his sailing things and surfing stuff. That's ridiculous. I wouldn't have anything to do with myself if I was 30. I didn't have anything to do with my dad. you know?
True. Yeah. Well, he was awful.
Yeah, he was awful, but I didn't have anything to do with
awful. You're awesome.
You know, I was pretty, he's at the, you know, guys are different than girls. They have a different focus, and it's biological. It's not psychological. It's not, you know, a spiritual imbalance. It's biological.
Start his own.
They definitely are more competitive too.
They've got to be, you know, they've got to make a living. He even said, I want to create my own stories and my own family and my own stuff. Oh, okay, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is a great book. You guys should read this. I found so many little things. Steve Prescott is the guy that wrote this, and he's done movies, a screenwriter, and a lot of things. And he stumbled on this thing called The Resistance, and he talks about it like, and he's got cool little things, little stories that he'll tell. And it's all relating to being creative. Like he'll talk about, he says there's a myth that Marines turn baby-faced recruits into bloodthirsty killers. He says it's not true. What Marines teach you is how to be miserable, how to be the most miserable that you can be, because in war is hell. And so Marines pride themselves, and I know Marines, they're like this. They pride themselves on having the worst food, the worst coffee, the crappiest, you know, chow, the crappiest equipment. They always get the end of the line. They love misery because that's what they taught. And
they're only happy when it rains.
They're only happy when it rains. And these guys love fighting in miserable combat situations, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look up again for us so people can see the title.
Yeah.
This is the book.
Yeah, this is the book.
The War of Art.
The War of Art. And it says, break through the blocks and win the inner creative battles. And Steve Prescott, he wrote Vance, he wrote The Legend of Beggar Vance. Yeah. Gates of Fire, Tides of War, The Law of, I can't read all that stuff because I can't see. But there's just some really cool little things in here, like when you experience the resistance. Let me see this one. The more resistance you experience, the more important your unmanifested art project enterprise is to you, and the more gratified you will feel when you finally do it.
Yeah.
You know, say another thing. Like he said, the writing is easy. It's the sitting down to write. That's the resistance. It's so easy to understand.
It's like you gotta fight yourself.
If I could run while I draw, that would be awesome. Or climb or swim. That would be nice.
Yeah.
It's so boring just sitting.
Yeah. Well, what does resistance feel like? Boredom, first unhappiness. It feels like hell, low grade misery, bored again. We can't get no satisfaction. There's guilt, but you can't put your finger on the source. We want to go back to bed. We want to get up and party. We feel unloved, unlovable, you know, unworthy. It doesn't say unworthy, but I'll throw unworthy.
Yeah.
And we're phony. We hate our lives. We hate ourselves. That's what the resistance feels like.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole podcast is about. This, you know, we all get a case of the scuts.
You know, the other day, I was daydreaming. I was having this really cool, like, I was thinking about all these cool ideas, and like, I was like, oh my God, this is like awesome. This would be a really good story. I should write this down. And the second I thought that, I had a wave of anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to sit down and turn everything off and quietly type this all out on a computer. And then the dream just goes away, like poof, because it's like,
That's why
that doesn't sound fun.
I click record on voice memo while I'm having those thoughts, and then I just record them verbally, because something about this is boring. It's so boring.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost embarrassing too, because it's like some of the things you think of, like just like raw ideas, like you're like, ooh, I don't know if other people would like that, or ooh, I don't know if I should blah 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 blah, and then all these kind of reminds me of your Dark Waters story, Larry.
Yeah,
like all those thoughts and all those things come for you, and you're just like, oh, like, well, maybe I shouldn't today. Maybe I should think about it before I even try to sit down at a computer to write it, because what if I'm making the wrong decision with writing this idea, and then I'd be wasting my time, and then blah blah blah. And you just talk yourself into not doing it.
Do you guys ever remember a cartoon? It was like a long time ago, but it was something like Fester, like Tweety Bird and the cat, whatever those were. And the cat, it's like the cat's gonna do something, and there would be like this little devil on its shoulder, going, kill it, eat it, and then there's then the little angel on the other shoulder, those cartoons. That's what's in our head. It's just like we've got this, there's like part of us, and I think and again, it's part of this resistance thing. There's a part of us that does not want us to take any risks at all. Do not do it. Don't do it. Play it safe. Be like
scaredy cat voice.
Yeah. Don't cross over the line. You might or hurt yourself, or
don't break the rules.
People will laugh at you. That's the worst thing.
Oh yeah, you're gonna wait. How about this one?
It has to be loved by all. Otherwise, don't write it all.
You're gonna waste your life.
Yeah.
It's a big one. Being a writer, an artist, you're gonna waste your life, Kristen. No one's ever gonna, blah.
Working at a bank is a waste of life.
Or even better yet,
working at a bank is a waste of life.
Yeah.
No, this is the voice.
But even worse is, then if you are successful, what if you're successful for the wrong reasons, right? What if your book inspires people to do horrible things? What if it's people take it to do the opposite of what you would ever want anybody to do with anything that you've ever
done? Eminem. I mean, I think he's a good guy, but he raps about a lot of bad stuff, and a lot of people did hate him. But he also brought power into my mind. When I listened to him, I felt stronger.
Yeah.
And I didn't really pay attention to the exact words he was using. It was his
Same with Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
I love his songs.
Yeah, everyone loves Kurt Cobain, I think.
Yeah.
By the way, I think it was HBO. I watched a interview with 5 major comedians, and they were all, and I mean, I can't think of who, but like Chris Rock was one of them, and that caliber, like the top comedians. Yeah, Jim Carrey was one of them, and they all of them felt unworthy, phony. Just before they would go out onto a stage, they would, some would throw up, and some would just you literally had to break each time, because stand-up comedy is about the most hardest thing on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
And people really react to stand-up comics that are bad, like in a bad way. Like the whole crowd of people's going at you, and it's like, Jesus, it's just a guy. Like he's trying to make you laugh.
There were some stories these guys were telling that were so pathetic. It was so showing up to do, this is early on in their careers, showing up, and there was like no one in the club, or one person, and they still went ahead and did the act, or there'd be that, or somebody
the heckler.
Somebody would like throw a beer at, just all kinds of terrible things, that first of all, they're performing in a bar or in a club live.
Yeah.
People already are drunk and they're assholes, and entertain me, make me laugh.
Yeah, make me laugh, clown.
Yeah, clown.
Yeah.
Dance for me.
Yeah.
And you notice stand-up comedians never stand up for too long. They, there's only a few of them that still keep doing it.
If you can get into film comedy.
Yeah, they quickly get into film or anything.
But get me out of this circuit.
Yeah, and like the bravest one has been like Seinfeld. He's made it and everything, right? But he goes back and still does his stand-up gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wish I was going to write down I did write it down, but I don't know where it's at to tell you guys. But it was really, this
universal
been on our podcast.
unworthiness. Yeah.
Huh?
It's universal unworthiness across the board.
Across the board.
If you're a human,
if you're
and you're not a sociopath, you do not feel worthy all the time.
If you're going to be creative or an entrepreneur or do anything that has anything that's outside the norm, you know, hold on to your pants.
Hold on to your pants, folks.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a rough ride.
Yeah. And sometimes you're the worst enemy of yourself. It's just crazy. It's insane.
Yeah. And you just got to learn to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of humanizing, though, to hear all those stories. Because, like, you really idolize people like that. Like, you're like, oh my God, like, they must just roll out of bed and then just make a song. And now they're the best next thing. And they must have no anxiety and feel confident and feel like they really made it. And it's like, no, nobody feels like that. Nobody feels like that ever. Except for the super conceited people. And then they probably don't feel like that all the time either. They just say they do.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah.
Somebody had said that when Chris Rock before he would do a big concert, he would do a series of little clubs, and he might get out of a 45-minute set, he might get 3 lines, and he'd write it down, and he would just be, super hard on himself to go to club after club after club until every one of those lines worked out. So when you see him, it looks like, my God, he's just ad-libbing. He's just so funny. He can just, no, that's bullshit. He has worked on it. He has practiced it. He has tested it. He's done the work.
Timing, the tone, the body language, when he said everything has been done a million times. I don't know how they do it. It must be so boring. By the time you actually make it to your own comedy special, you're like, well, I know this like the back of my hand, so I'm not really entertained, but I have to pretend like I am impressed by myself. So, because sometimes that part of it is like when they're like, holy shit, that was really funny. And you're like, yeah, it was.
Oh, that was the other thing. You never think it's really funny during the set. They don't think of it. It's just, they're doing it. They don't even think, they don't get to what
they don't get to break.
They don't get to enjoy any of it, which is, I thought that's kind of an insight.
Sometimes
it's kind of poetic though that the artist or the joke maker doesn't get to enjoy the art.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, think about where the whole thing about joke maker comes from. You go back to the days of kings and queens, which all you have to do is go to Europe, and there's still monarchies, the British monarchy. They had the jester, and the jester, I learned this from John Fox. He would whisper in the king's ear, thou art only a man. The jester was there to bring this whole thing down to, you're just a man. You're not the greatest thing, but you can never say that directly to a king. It'd have to be acted out or whatever.
Yeah.
So they've always had this place in society that's really important, but unacknowledged important.
Yeah, they were not treated like kings at all.
No, they were.
If they sucked, they would be beheaded sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
talk about pressure.
The messenger,
Well, Jim Carrey's got some movies that I've seen where it's like about him and his life, and it's very like that. He's the perfect example of what we're talking about.
The darkness sometimes.
Yeah, the growing up in the dark past, and every single day looking in the mirror, making his face do weird things to pass the time, and like over and over and over, just keeping at it.
When Jim Carrey did that Ace Ventura movie, which almost didn't get made, no one was going to make it. That was such a breakout movie because his comic, he made fun of everything, society and taking the guy, on his shoulder,
everything. Everyone, no one was safe.
No one was safe.
Except for the animals.
Yeah, the animals. But it was just amazing.
Well, when he did the Man on the Moon movie,
Oh,
they made a documentary about making that movie, and even that just like gave me chills, and I felt like, oh my God, I can totally relate to that.
Well, that was him playing Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, stepping into Andy Kaufman's
You know, Andy Kaufman, when he died, they thought he was still doing a gig when he was dead. No one believed he'd really died.
Oh my God.
He had a very interesting sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that mean you were a successful comic if nobody believed? They thought even your death was a prank?
Yeah.
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 That's the way he was. They would disguise themselves. Just amazing. And the other part.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say they were all driven like they cannot not do this. You know, if they didn't.
They would kill themselves if they had to work at a bank.
Pretty much.
Yeah. What's the point of life if I can't do what I love?
And look at Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Out on the precipice of insanity. I mean, he did stuff that no one's ever done.
When Dreams May Come, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously, we grew up watching him. Mrs. Doubtfire, Hook. Oh, God. I probably could recite the entire Mrs. Doubtfire.
He was Mork and Mindy. There's
Mork
all kinds. Yeah. It's good to watch these documentaries about these people's lives, because it will disabuse you of thinking that this is going to be like being a professional football player and it's all glory. It's hard.
It's hard. Everybody has the same grass. It just looks nicer sometimes from far away. Once you get up close, it's all grass. So there's nothing magical about their lives that isn't unattainable. Like
It's like that Jordan Peterson clip I sent you guys, where he's like, I wouldn't necessarily wish creativity upon anybody because creative people aren't necessarily happy all the time. They're just like, they just need to.
I don't think they're hardly happy any of the time.
Yeah.
You know who's really happy is like very simple-minded people that work at banks.
The earth kind of people.
The people that enjoy working at banks.
Well, until they find out that they've been molesting young children down the street, then the guy usually cracks.
Oh,
beats his,
throwing every big teller under the bus here.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. We're on to you.
Oh, we're on to you guys. We know.
You think
those banks got cameras. That's all.
Banks have cameras. That's true. That's why they have to go down the block. Oh, God. Okay, on that note, we have to take a potty break because I've drank way too much tea.
And we're back.
Woo! Welcome back. That pretty much wraps it up, I think. What were you going to say, Doug?
Yeah.
You have one last thing to say?
No.
Yeah. And we're gone. That was the end of the podcast. Thank you for coming, guys.
One quick thing. Today is 17 years since that horrible drug I used to use. Today's 17 years.
Hey, congratulations.
17 years sober. Oh my God, Kristen.
Oh my.
You talk about a difficult period in both of our lives.
It's been 17 years.
Yeah. You should celebrate. You should have cake or something tonight.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to have a cake salute, Kristen, to you.
Yeah, everyone have a little something sweet tonight.
Yeah, and I sent Rebecca a prize.
Oh, yeah? What'd you get?
I got, actually, I think it's...
Help her with this a unicorn vampire book. No, I mean, it's not, there's no such thing, but I got this book on unicorns and I thought, she could use it.
For research, it's perfect.
Everything you wanted to know about unicorns, I'm afraid to ask.
Look at that. It's backwards, the text.
Lure of the unicorn.
How was your text the right way? What the heck?
Yeah, no, it's right. It came out the right way for us. Just for you, it's backwards. We saw it correct.
Really?
Yeah.
It's science.
That's bizarre. Oh my God.
Yeah. What I was going to do was I wanted to find out. I had this idea about in my stealing Mao that maybe I would put a unicorn in. It's like, oh my God, I'm reaching. We don't need to have unicorns with the. But I found out that Genghis Khan actually stopped in Nepal, and they said because he came across a unicorn. Yeah. Unicorns really were around back, you know, there's even mention of them in the Bible. They were real. You read this book and you go like, oh my God. And I'm not talking about rhinoceros because they know the difference between a rhino, but a rhino is like a unicorn, you know, except this was a horse with hoofs and they were lived in Nepal. They lived in a lot of different places, but
yes,
isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my God.
So
I'm actually really excited to.
Yeah, so I just thought it would be a good reference for your.
Also, look at the cover. It's so pretty.
Really pretty.
Yeah.
Good job, Dad. That's a good find.
Also, thank you. I felt like I didn't thank you enough over text because it's like, what can you do? Smiley face, thumbs up.
No, look at all this stuff that you do to, you know, help put this on. So
seriously, it's a lot of energy and work.
Yeah.
I still haven't edited the last one. I feel bad.
Don't feel bad.
You told me to edit out that clip in the end, but I don't exactly know where it is, so I'm like, I'm gonna have to sit through that whole hour.
Oh no!
I haven't had exactly.
You can send it to me.
No, I'll do it. I gotta trying to be manage my time more appropriately.
I can at least figure out how to cut around that part.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have a program that I use that can cut it out. It's just I have to find the clip.
You weren't crazy. You were just talking about like what's happening in the world.
Yeah, it probably was okay. I wouldn't even worry about it.
Just leave it in.
Leave it in. Don't create more work.
Okay.
Create.
I mean, I don't mind either way if you want me to.
Because if you cut it at the wrong place, then it really won't make any sense. You know, so I say just leave it in.
Hey, Kristen, by the way, you know, my whole thing about creating this inner space also has a lot to do with cleaning out your house. And I thought you'd like that. You know how we're always rearranging everything and trying to throw stuff out? It's this creating space is a huge psychological deal. You know, her and I are guilty of this. My place is never the same in any 1 week.
Neither is mine.
I've actually started to do that. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a banjo there now. Look at that. I rearranged a bunch of stuff in the room so I could
banjo is
make it
badass.
look cool.
That is a cool instrument.
My fiance's instrument.
Oh, really?
It looks cool there. Yeah, I don't know how
it does.
He really enjoys it though. He sits, acts all cute and plays.
I love that. We gotta have it on the show sometime.
I technically have a box behind me, but like my bed was just made, and then I laid down on it, so now it looks bad. But I just rearranged my whole room, and
cool.
It feels renewing.
It is renewing. That's the point.
Feng shui.
It's one of the things that you can have control over, and we do not have control over our lives. We think we do, but as John Fox would always say, you know, the asteroid is headed this way as we speak, or the comet, you know, the one that I just read where in 2013 some big meteor just missed the Earth by like 12 million miles, which is close.
It's pretty close.
Close, not 12 million light years or 12 million miles, which is it's a million miles to the moon and back. 12 million miles is nothing. So we dodged a bullet, and it was literally this great big icy comet that we didn't even see it till it got in our solar system.
What would we have even done if we saw it in time before it crashed into us?
It wouldn't matter if we saw it. What are we going to do? Go away, comet. I don't like you.
That's really mean. Don't hit our planet.
Don't hit our planet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it missed us, and I'm also glad it missed the moon.
Yeah.
See, I've always wondered if you go out and you look at any night, get a telescope and look at the moon, it's been splattered. How come the Earth isn't like that? The moon has been splattered.
Probably because we have plants and water and things. We can't notice it with all the vegetation and stuff.
You notice it. Like you notice where the last big thing hit that wiped out the dinosaurs. There's all kinds of, we've been hit a few times, big craters.
The Gulf of something with the big extinction crater was. filled with water now. It's like, but it's like a perfectly round bay or something.
Yeah.
Oh, and the moon is also probably where all the extraterrestrials come and land to check out what we're doing over here, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, they're now, even the government is starting to investigate their, the mysterious flights that the pilots have been noticing.
Yeah.
So it's not so crazy,
Also, you just reminded me last week, holy crap, I was sitting out by my bonfire, fire pit, and with my neighbors, and all of a sudden 4 floating orbs of white with blue tint to it started floating up from the trees, and then they started hovering over us, and then the 3 of them took off that way, and one of them stayed around, and then one of the 3 came back for that one, made sure it followed them, and then they just rose up into the sky until we couldn't see them anymore. What the hell was that? And I filmed it and posted it.
What?
On Facebook, yeah. My camera, in the view, it looks much farther away than where they were. It was like they were like a mile from, like half a mile over our heads. They rose up, hung out, checked stuff out. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you should scroll through my profile to see the video. Because I was like, what the heck was that?
That's
oh my
funny.
God, I'm glad you recorded it, because like
spiritual experience. Yeah. It's happening. It's happening.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know. Or beat me up, Scotty, just for like a little tour. Send me back down with some cool tools.
Yeah. That's kind of creepy though. I hope they. I don't know. Do we hope they come back, or do we like?
It's crazy because it's not like a drone, and it was almost like they were manned balloons, like glowing white and blue balloons that had something inside them, making it work. Anyway, check it out. It's on my Facebook.
I'll go check it out.
Yeah, I don't have a Facebook, but I'll imagine it. You painted a good picture.
Oh, I can send you the video.
Oh, yes. Do please.
It was.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna head.
All right, on that note.
Let's go get dinner.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace
Bye.
out.
Have a great rest of your day. Great job. Huge progress, Dad. That's amazing.
I know. Pretty cool, huh?
You're excused, 'cause you're always late, overweight, and totally rude.